Hey, what's going on, my friends? My name is Chris and this is VerrilloTrading. Welcome to my video today. I'm going to give you guys an update on my trading, how that's been going for the last 6-7 months for this year. Pretty much, we're middle of the year 2024. I wanted to talk to you guys about various items and aspects that I think are important in regards to developing a fruitful trading career where you can challenge yourself and constantly work on improving, and talk about a few items like longevity, channeling, primal instinct, and a few others that I wrote down here. So I really hope you enjoyed this video because I'm going to tell you guys a couple of stories that I think you might be able to relate to. Some of them might be helpful for you to understand kind of the mindset behind success in trading, at least what I think about it. Some of these things are theoretical, they're ideologies. So the only thing I'm really showing you is some of the stats to back up how my trading's been this year, which has been good, by the way. I think I've only had about 83 trades in this futures trading account here since the beginning of the year. And I haven't been trading very large size. I want to say that I'm not really where I want to be in my trading, and I think that that's a good thing. And I'm going to talk about that more. I'm going to segue into a story that I found very interesting, talking to a very professional musician that blew my mind when I heard him play. And he made me come to a realization that I think is very profound and it's very interesting. So I'll talk to you guys about that later. So I'm not where I want to be in my trading, but my trading has been going very well in all of my accounts. I have one futures trading account here that I trade on Sierra Chart using my broker Ironbeam. And I have two interactive brokers accounts, one personal, one institutional. Both of those have been going great. I had one trade in my personal account that the company got acquired and the stock price basically doubled overnight, which almost doubled my account too. So that's one thing. And then I have two crypto accounts that I just trade in every now and then, and those have been going very well. One of them actually is just more passive income. The other account I use more for trading, and you can see here that that's been going well as well. You can see it's consistently up for a while. I think it was earning interest. And then I did take out a withdrawal there because I transferred it over to somewhere else. And then here's some trading that drove up the value of the account a little bit here. Some trades on TON coin, TON against US dollar tether. Yeah, so that's it. But let's look at the futures trading account statistics here. You can see that we've had a total of 83 trades. The win rate is really nothing special at all. You can see that we made about $841 before commissions, and I only traded about 208 contracts. If I go to account stats, you can see all the symbols that I traded here during this time period. And you can see there's Canadian dollar futures, micro Bitcoin futures, micro crude oil. One trade on micro NASDAQ was probably a test, and then the others are US Treasury futures, and you can see that that's where the majority of the trading took place, because these are the contracts that I will typically scalp more actively for more short-term scalping type of trades, whereas the Canadian dollar futures and these other ones will typically be more swing trading positions. So if I go back over to statistics and we look at the average time in trades, you guys will kind of get an idea of how my trading has changed over the last sort of months. I guess maybe a year or more now, where I've been more focused on swing trading, where I would say I do look at the markets very sparsely. Every now and then I'll look at my phone and I might see something I like in one of the markets, and then I'll go over to my Sierra chart and I'll do some deeper analysis into the market to see if it's something that it's worth trading. So you'll see here that my longest held winning trade is 3 days and a half. Longest held losing trade is only 11 hours and a half, which is interesting. It's an interesting little statistic to see there. Average time in winning trades, I guess because there are a lot of short-term scalp trades that I take on the bonds in the morning. Sometimes you can see that the average time in winning trades is considerably lower. So here's all the trades that took place. They're not in any particular order. So you can see there are some losses if you look carefully, but the wins definitely outweigh the losses. And the biggest wins were probably on some of the swing trade positions like micro crude oil and Canadian dollar futures. And as you can see here, I'm not cherry picking because this is all the trades that have taken place this entire year. So there's no way that I could be cherry picking this, or else I'd be cherry picking the entire account, which is a live account that you can see here. It's a small account. But my goal is basically to see how many times I can double this account, and we'll take it from there. So I think now that you guys get a bit of an idea of where my trading's at, I want to give you guys more context about my trading and more context about how I believe I'm able to enter into a state when I approach the markets where I'm more likely to profit. And I know that sounds like a bold claim, but I'll give you guys some context. So let's talk about it. I'm more likely to profit because I have more experience using the same system of trading that I've been using for quite a long time. So yeah, my trading changed in the last couple of years. I definitely became more of a swing trader, though I do day trade still on some days. I day trade during economic news announcements, and I'm trying to day trade more consistently. And I was trading. So I was traveling for an earlier part of this year from February all the way until April, and I was trading during that time period too. And I want to talk to you guys a bit about my whole perception of how I found my trading was when I was traveling, as I was there, trading just from my laptop. And now as well, in a state where I guess I've upped my quality of life to some degree, although I don't really see it that way. I just see it as like an upgrade of your living expenses. I see it as having to pay more money to live, which for me is an interesting challenge based on where I'm at currently in my trading and in my knowledge about things. Talking about trajectory, I want to be clear about this, is that the things that I'm saying here may not apply to you based on where you're at in your current trajectory of your trading career. Because I'm at a stage now where I've been trading for a number of years, since 2018. And what that means is that I'm not in the learning stage. I'm no longer in the learning stage of my trading. Now, of course, I'm always learning new things about my system. But the difference between someone who's just starting out and me is that I have an established set of criteria that I look for. I have things that I look for that I know work, that I'm comfortable working around those parameters. In 2020, 2021, I was in the learning period. I was deep in the learning period. That's back when I was trading NASDAQ futures, and that was during COVID as well, where we had high volatility in the markets, and it was an interesting time to learn about the markets too. Before the COVID, I was also deep in the learning phase. In 2019, I was trading gold, and I was trading natural gas. I was trading different stocks, and I was learning, trading options as well. Now I'm in a state of applying a lot of the knowledge that I've accumulated over the years. Like I said, there's still always a lot to learn, and I am not satisfied in where my trading is currently. The stage I'm at currently in my trading is what I'm going to call the continuation phase, or the challenge phase, where I'm actively in the state of challenging myself to become better and scale what I already have that objectively is something good. So I'm calling it the challenge period. Let me tell you a story. When I was learning trading and when I started this YouTube channel, I was living more modestly in an older apartment, and that's where I started off. I don't know if you guys saw my video where I talked about how I got started in music and things like that. But in that video, I mentioned that I moved out of my parents' place when I was about 22, 23 years old, and I was living alone since then. And that was about 7 years ago now. So getting into trading in 2018, I was approaching it from purely the learning perspective. Like, I was in the learning stage, and I probably didn't know this at the time. I didn't know I was in the learning stage because everybody, when they first start out, they want to get right into it, start putting live accounts, start placing big trades, and hope to make a bunch of money fast. But that's not how it is. You learn the hard way. And I definitely stuck with it through all these years, mostly thanks to this YouTube channel. Because if I didn't have this YouTube channel related to trading and videos about trading software, I probably would not have stayed in the trading industry as long as I have until this day. The learning period was very important. And what I realized as I was staying in my old apartment for a number of years, I realized that I needed to challenge myself a little bit more. I would say in terms of giving myself a little bit more harsh conditions to operate under. And this is in general, not just about trading. It's about, in general, putting myself in a situation where I'm almost forced to perform to generate more income, let it be through trading or let it be through YouTube or something else. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to go traveling last year for a number of months to test that out. And that was this year, traveling, by the way. Part of the reason why I think my trading has been doing pretty good this year is because I put myself in a situation where I have objectively higher costs to pay for living and for business as well. What that's done for me, and again, this might not be the same for you, what that's done for me is that it gives me something to wake up for in the morning. That's as simple as I can put it, right? It gives you a reason to get up in the morning and get to work. Let it be through trading, getting up early and saying, okay, we're going to trade the first hour. We're going to focus. We have our system established. We know what we're looking for. And that could also mean not trading. Because someone, like I said earlier, because my trading is sparse, there's some moments where the markets are not favorable for what I'm looking for. I do zoom out and look at the daily timeframes and weekly timeframes. And that does give me some context about if I want to be trading these markets or not trading them. And that's why I typically look at a multitude of different markets, like some crypto coins, some futures contracts, and maybe one day I'll start transitioning into some individual stocks or small cap stocks. So the whole idea of putting yourself in a position where you have to perform, for me, it was upping my expenses a little bit. And I don't really know how to fully explain this. I guess it's just the concept of tapping a bit into your primal instinct, into that necessity of needing to get up, make more money, get some stuff rolling, get on the phone, do some deals, do what you have to do to make the money. And even if you fail and you don't make it, you still gained a lot of experience doing it. You potentially gained some contacts for a future deal. You learned something from the trade you lost on. And because you were trading from the mindset of needing to win, needing. And I don't want you guys to confuse this with things you hear from other YouTubers, because I'm sure other YouTubers have told you things like you need to be 100% calm, you need to be 100% not emotional when you're trading. Look, I'm going to debunk a few of those things here, but just let me cook on this, okay? In my opinion, in order to really succeed in anything, you need to put yourself in a situation where you need to succeed at it. You have to succeed at it. You have no other choice but to succeed at it. And I know that sounds crazy. Let's say there's two dogs fighting for a piece of steak. One has not eaten in 2 weeks. The other one ate a big steak the prior day. Who's going to be more likely to get the steak? It's going to be the dog that hasn't eaten in 2 weeks because he needs the steak more. Who needs it more is going to get it. Let's say you're putting yourself in a position where now you need to win in trading. For that particular trader, again, I'm not just speaking for my case, that might actually mean not trading. It might mean scouting out the markets till their trade, their edge presents itself to them. For other traders, it could mean having a more regimented approach and trading every single day, or on the days where they think that the markets might move. Because trading every single day, I mean, objectively, I think it's a bad decision, because a lot of days, especially 2024, there's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of chop. And some days where the market's just doing nothing. I mean, the NASDAQ and the S&P's hit all-time highs this year, guys. All-time highs is a different game, you know. I saw all-time highs in 2019, and then again afterwards, after it all-time high again, after the COVID. So I've seen all-time highs of probably a total of 3 different cycles in my career so far. And I'll tell you one thing is I don't like trading all-time highs. They're just weird. They're weird markets. I prefer trading when markets are running into contextual, historical areas of supply demand. That's part of how my system works. All-time highs is a bit different, not really my style. So for one trader, needing to make money might actually mean not trading. It might mean putting their money in some kind of a bond and doing something else with the money. They might leverage that bond position and do something else with the money because they need to make money. So for them, needing to make money means not trading. For a trader with experience with an established system, needing to make money means putting more energy into their trading and trading more. So you see how it's different for everybody. And you know, I find this really interesting because it kind of goes into the concept of fight or flight. When you hear a lot of traders on the internet, me included in the past, I used to talk about this, you know, obtaining an emotionally calm state where, you know, you're pretty balanced and you're able to perform, which is true, by the way. Though fight or flight is not necessarily a bad thing. You're not in fight or flight mode when you're actively there clicking the mouse, but there's like an underlying tone of fight or flight that you're operating from. That's what I'm talking about. The fight or flight mechanism in you that's telling you you need to get up in the morning and you need to do something and make some money and place the trades, place the best trades possible. It's the underlying tone of fight or flight that's operating within you. So I honestly think you need fight or flight to succeed. You know, without any fight or flight instinct that's driving you, in my opinion, you wouldn't have the same fire burning in your belly as somebody who does have that need to show up every single day and beat last month's record or work on their system so that they can be better or get where they want to be. And they will never get where they want to be. Maybe they will. But I think that as soon as someone thinks that they're the shit, as soon as they get to where they wanted to get, by the way, I think nobody gets to where they want to get. But if you ever achieve a mindset of where you've gotten what you wanted, 100% of everything you wanted, that's when you start to self-sabotage the most. And I don't know exactly why, but this is just something I've observed. I'll tell you a story about an amazing musician I met, and this applies exactly to trading the same way. So I'm a musician, I go out to local jams and stuff like that, and I often get the chance to hear very, very talented musicians play live on stage, improvised music. I had the chance of listening to this one drummer play, and I have a thing for drummers because I'm a guitar player. And when I hear a good drummer, it's like something that shakes the inner workings of your body when you hear a good drummer. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. The drums, by the way, playing the drums. Bang, bang, bang. And I had the chance to talk to this drummer sometime after hearing him play a couple of times. And it was at a park gathering. And I asked him, I started off the conversation by giving him a compliment. A very genuine compliment. You know, we were having some drinks, having fun outside at a little park gathering. And I gave him a genuine compliment about his playing, that I really thought his playing was very, very, very good, very super amazing. And what he responded with really lit up a light bulb in me. And he basically said that he wasn't satisfied with his playing. You know, and I pondered on this a little bit afterwards, and I gave him my response, which is what I thought. And what I think about it is that because he's in the state where he's not satisfied with his playing, that is what is propelling him to be so objectively good and come across as being so good to the average person. Because he knows that he's not where he wants to be. He knows that he still has work to do. So not only does that make him play in a very genuine way, it makes him play in a more humble way. So he plays so effortlessly if he's able to tap into a mindset where he's able to just play and let loose. But there's still that undertone operating within him of, I know that I have a lot of work to do. I know that I'm not where I want to be. And that's the underlying tone, in my opinion, that sets the course for him to be one of the greatest that you've ever seen, or just someone that's objectively successful, objectively amazing in what they're doing. When I was trading all through this year, right, my focus was on taking the best possible trades that my system offers me. And if I see at any time that my system is not working, or if I was wrong, well, I know I have work to do. If I see that my system is working and I'm objectively doing well, well, that's okay, because I'm still in a state where I'm not satisfied and I still have work to do. I'm never in a state where I'm completely satisfied with my trading, because in my opinion, that's when you would start to self-sabotage. As soon as you reach the top of the mountain in anything in your mind, right? Because in your mind, your goal is the top of the mountain. If you reach the top of the mountain, there's nothing left to climb. So if you're in the state mentally where you think you're at the top of the mountain, you're only coming into the game with something to lose. You can only lose from there. That's how self-sabotage occurs. So in my opinion, there's something very interesting about putting yourself in a situation where you have to perform, where you're forced to perform, just as long as you're not still in the learning period of whatever you're doing, because it doesn't make sense to do this while you're still in the learning period and the learning and development stages of something. You need to be in the implementation stages. You don't have to be at level 5 of implementation. You can be at level 1 or level 2, where you're actively implementing a system, an established system that you've worked on, because you're no longer in the learning period. The learning period is a different period. If you're in the learning stage in your trading, probably a lot of what I'm saying here doesn't apply to you at all. When I was in the learning period, I was living in my old apartment, basically paying rock bottom to live, and I had the freedom to experiment and try different things. And I think that everybody needs that at some point. If you're in a stage where you're starting a company, or you're trying a new business, you're trying a new domain, where you're still learning about it, you need some kind of freedom, like a clean slate, to be able to test things on, to see what clicks and what doesn't click. And that's important. But once you click with something, and once you're in the state where you're actively trying to employ something to higher and higher levels, like scale up your trading, scale up your business, you need to start challenging yourself in other ways outside of the trading. That's going to help you to tap into a little bit of those underlying tones of fight or flight that I was talking about earlier, that I think is beneficial for success. You need to challenge yourself incrementally, and you need to do it based on where you're at in your situation. So let's say you have two different traders. Both of them have been trading bonds for 3 years using the same exact system and method. But that's never going to happen, obviously, because everybody trades differently. Let's say they both shadowed the same mentor and they've both been trading bonds for 3 years. After 3 years, one of them continues living with lower living expenses and they potentially have other projects too in their lives. The second trader decides to challenge themselves monetarily by giving themselves higher bills to pay. Maybe they decide to move into a more expensive office, or maybe they decide to do something that the other trader is not doing. The other trader is just staying where they were during the learning phase, and the second trader is upgrading, putting themselves in a situation where it's more challenging, where they have to objectively do more in order to maintain that level of, I guess, quality of life, or pay the bills they have to pay. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I'll leave it up to you guys. Which trader do you think is going to be the one that's more likely to scale their trading faster? I think it's the one that has harder living conditions, because they're operating with that undertone of fight or flight, needing to get it done. The other one doesn't really need to scale their trading on a primal level because they're paying dirt cheap to live, and they probably have like 5 steaks in the fridge ready to cook. So there's no undertones of fight or flight that they're channeling into their trading, whereas the second trader, there is. That's what I'm talking about. I just wanted to finish up with a few notes talking about life balance, because in the past I've made videos talking about life balance and trading life balance and all that. And obviously my perspectives on a lot of these things have changed over the years. Look, in my opinion, life balance is anti-correlated to any form of objective achievement. And what I mean by that is anybody who objectively achieves something great, like we're talking these big CEOs of these big companies, these high-level performers, there is no correlation between that level of achievement and having a balanced life where your diet's in check, your body's in check, everything's in check, right? Except for your business. There's no correlation because it takes a sacrifice in order to achieve that level of success. You're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your energy, you're sacrificing your life force energy, you're trading things for those achievements that you're aiming to get. There's nothing balanced about Elon Musk running Twitter, Tesla, SpaceX, and who knows else what. There's nothing balanced about these high-level soccer players or performers or traders. There's nothing balanced about their lifestyle. I can guarantee you that. They're trading something from other areas of their life in order to maintain that high level of performance. Most of the time it's the health, actually. They're trading their health for the objective achievement. And I think that's just the way the world works. You know, I'm sure there's someone out there, some kind of Zen Buddhist monk who's able to take 6-figure trades on a daily basis and also be totally zen with their body and their mind on a daily basis. I'm sure it exists, but we don't hear about these people. And I mean, you can examine the situation of some of the biggest, most successful people out there. If you ever have the opportunity to talk with any of these big people, I mean, you'll be able to pull the insights yourself from what they did to achieve those things. And I will say that most of the time they had some kind of a sacrifice that they had to make in order to achieve that level of objective success. That's all I wanted to say. The concept of life balance in trading or in any kind of high-level performance sport, when you're in the stage of scaling, growing, building, there's no such thing as life balance because you're trading something for the work. In my opinion, guys, nothing beats having a genuine hunger, a genuine desire for doing things. Getting back to what I talked about in the video, I believe that one way to achieve a genuine hunger for doing something is having to do it. Also, a bit of a paradox is when you do something long enough, you're bound to get sick of it. And when you get sick of it is typically when you know something about it. That's a paradox, and I believe it's so true. I've definitely been trading long enough that I have gotten sick of it multiple times. But trading, there's a thing about trading that it's hard to get sick of. You're always going to find yourself back at the table. The markets, I would say, is the modern day Coliseum. That's how I view it. And I think that anybody who's planning on getting into trading, you're in the learning stage or you're in the challenge period like I described. You have to plan for longevity. And I think that never being satisfied with your current situation is a good plan to keep longevity, because it keeps you on the hamster wheel, to say. It keeps you working. It keeps you getting your projects done. You know, you don't have to overwork yourself, but it's important to be in a state where you're not really truly satisfied with what you have, because that keeps you going. That gives you that fuel to get up in the morning and build things and create things, and that's what we're meant to do. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Cheers.